And welcome back. It is another episode of Inside Boxing Live. It is Dan Canobio. It is the champ, Chris Algieri. We are presented by PPV.com. We have a fight week next week. Friday, June 27th, Deontay Wilder will be fighting Herndon. It's live streaming on PPV.com. I will be in the live interactive chat, interacting with the fans, watching Deontay Wilder look to get back into the win column. It's been a little bit for him. He wants to avenge some losses. He has some big fights on the horizon. He's also a guest on this very episode of Inside Boxing Live. So I'm excited to catch up with Deontay Wilder. He has a lot to say, as always. But join us in the live interactive chat on ppv.com on Friday, June 27th. Of course, we're heading out in mid-July for the big fight between Manny Pacquiao and Mario Barrios. Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach were tweeting at each other this morning, back and forth. That was pretty interesting, too. Gervonta hasn't deleted them, so they're still up there for you all to read. So it's a busy ppv.com weekend. Chris, how are you, man? This is episode 400 of Inside Boxing Live.
Nice round number. And I mean, for our listeners, this week, Dan Canobio's birthday. This guy right here, big birthday guy right here. There he is.
Yeah, I had a few people on Twitter reach out. Heard from some boxing people.
Nice.
Not so much about me. This isn't about me, right? This is about episode 400. And how about this, Chris? Episode 1, Deontay Wilder was a guest on episode 1.
Look
and
at
now
that.
he was a guest on episode 400.
Nice. The progression. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
You had him. He was your first guest?
We came out of the gate hot. We had him, Lampley, and Doug Fisher.
What year was that?
2017.
Yeah, so Deontay was
he was rolling.
He was really rocking and rolling at that point.
He was getting ready for the Stavern rematch where he did the PlayStation move.
He was on some run back then, man. I mean, he's just icing guys every fight. Boom,
and that
boom,
was
boom.
Everyone wanted the Joshua fight. And we're still calling for it today. At 399 episodes later, I'm still asking Deontay Wilder if he's going to fight Anthony Joshua. So,
and it may happen
for that interview.
It very well may happen.
It's definitely above 50% on that happening. So stay tuned for that episode. That interview later on in this episode. All right, let's get to it. On Thursday morning in Japan, Brian Norman stops Jin Sasaki in 5 rounds, had him down within 30 seconds, had him down another time in the first, put him out cold in round 5 with one of the most lethal left hooks you'll see. A knockout of the year contender. Hey, who is this Brian Norman moment? Has this little afterwards talking about boots. There's a lot to unpack here, but damn, that was a vicious knockout by Brian Norman.
Yeah, hellacious, ice cold. I mean, he's putting together some real nice stoppage wins, some nice knockouts. He's creating a nice little highlight reel for himself these last couple fights. You know, that Santillan knockout was vicious. That thing was viral too. Beat him up, put him down, got in his face. This one, I mean, a walk-off left hook. Guy's head banged off the canvas. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better knockout than that. And that's the thing about, Norman, he took the chance. He went over to Japan. He got the bag. But you don't get to see, there's not going to be like a lot of live people watching that on the West. But listen, you get a knockout like that, it goes viral. Everybody sees it. So it really was a perfect storm for Team Norman. They really made some interesting moves to get to that position, and he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, a lot of moves, most notably the Boots fight. With Boots announcing that he's officially moving up to 154 the day before the fight. And for Norman to come out and do this, and then also give Keith Idec of The Ring some details on Eddie Hearn. I want to get your thoughts on those later on about negotiations. But back to the knockout shot. I mean, Sasaki was so overmatched. The fact that he's ranked 6th by The Ring in the welterweight division. I mean, it kind of says everything about that division, how it's very top heavy.
Yeah,
it's weak division. It's like dependent on guys moving up. It's like we have guys half in, half out. Now we have a guy out completely in Boots. Is Devin Haney in this division? Is Ryan? What is Ryan Garcia? I mean, who are some of these guys in the back half of that division? But Jin Sasaki, I mean, he just looks so overmatched, and he was throwing that lazy jab, and that was his ultimate demise was the sequence of that shot. And you're right, Norman is his left hook is one of the best punches in all of boxing. Like you could put it up there with like, Bivol's jab or, body shot of out there. I mean, it's lethal. It's lethal. And Sasaki threw a weak jab to the body, and he just lunged. And Norman was just waiting in the wings, and that was a thing of beauty.
Well, lunge, I think, is the key term there, Dan. Norman was so ready for everything that Sasaki did because he does lunge. He dives in with huge hooks. He swings looping shots, and Norman was just taking half steps back and countering over the top. And even the shots that did land, because Sasaki throws those punches so wide, throughout the trajectory of a wide punch, you actually lose power. So he was hitting Norman with those shots, and then Norman just threw tight, short, hard shots and was clipping him. You heard him like that in the first round. You heard him several times. And really, in every round, you heard him with the same kinds of shots, whether it's the right hand or the left hook. But man, that last one, he put some extra stank on that thing. If you look at the end of that shot, he lands that shot, and then he powers through at the end, as if he was just pressing the button. You're out. I win. Really, really nasty stuff. But man, he looked good. He made it exciting too. He stayed in the pocket. Sasaki is a guy that, listen, I've called his fights before. And you mentioned him being ranked 6th. He was on a 6-fight KO streak at welterweight. He had only lost at 140. He was killing himself to make the weight, moved up. But to that point also, he looked so small in there. He looked so small next to Norman. I thought I didn't think Norman was that big at welterweight. And then they got in the ring, and I was like, damn, he looks bigger, and he's definitely better. But yeah, Sasaki couldn't hurt him, and Norman was just super dialed in, ready to perform, ready for everything that Sasaki brought, and is obviously in fantastic shape. So I don't know, man. I think Norman's like the new guy at welterweight. Now that Boots is out, I mean, I don't see anyone in that division even giving him trouble.
It's his division. Brian Norman is the number one at welterweight, with Boots moving out of the division. You have Stanionis remaining. You have Devin Haney entering the frame. You have Teofimo flirting with it. You have Rolly Romero, who beat Ryan Garcia. You have Ryan Garcia in it. You have Santillan, who wants to get back into the fray. I mean, it's a division that could be great, and you need one guy in there who's dominant. And for Norman, he remains the youngest title holder in all of boxing at age 23, youngest male title holder. I love he reps Atlanta, threw the Atlanta Braves hat on. Yep. That was kind of cool. If he delivered an unbelievable line after the fight. I don't know if you caught that. The B storm. There was a fight I wanted out there, and you know what happens when the B norm storm comes? You grab your boots and you run. He's obviously talking about Boots Ennis. I mean, great line.
Ice cold performance, ice cold delivery at the end. Little turn the knife at the end there. I like it. I like what I see from this kid, man. Listen, he's one of those guys. He did it kind of old school, not necessarily old school, but old school in terms of how we are. You build up. You get 20 fights. You get 25 fights on the road. You pay for these slots. You get these fights. You kind of build slowly underground, and then you explode out. You're 20-0. You're 25-0, and you get that world title fight. So it's not like one of those guys like we're seeing now where they have a big amateur background. They come out, they're fighting for a world title in the first 10 fights. No. Norman has done this. Norman's team has done this the way that, I'm more used to watching guys develop. But it's paying off because not only does he have the goods, not only is he coming into his physical maturity now for his age and his body for the weight class. Listen, he's got the chops too, man. He's throwing liners out like that after a KO, calling out one of the baddest guys on the planet. I like everything I'm seeing from Brian Norman.
I like the line, even though I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit, and there was a lot of people out there that were like, wait a second, didn't he turn down almost $1.7 million to fight Boots? I mean, that was the famous negotiation, right? They were offered a certain amount of money. It kept increasing, got up to 1.7 million. This is all hearsay because this is another thing with negotiations. I found myself in negotiation Twitter yesterday, which I hate being in. But I had to say, oh, yeah, that's a great line. But, he did turn down a fight with Boots. No matter what the money was, we don't know exactly how much it was. If it was 1.7, that's crazy because, as we know, his last fight was on the undercard of a Michaela Mayer, Sandy Ryan rematch. It was not for 1.7 million. This one, I think, was around close to $1 million, I believe. he did turn down that money with Boots. But here's the thing about boxing is there's a lot of people that don't remember that. It's a lot of what have you done for me lately? The last thing we're going to see is Brian Norman knocking this guy out and then calling out Boots going up to 154 the day before. So the optics of it, I mean, that's just great PR for Brian Norman.
Yeah, and great timing, the way he executed that. But also, I think it has to, even turning down that fight, I think it's all about timing. He was young. He wasn't as developed. We're seeing him get better every fight. Listen, taking a loss in this sport, talk about 1.7 million. Okay, you lose to Boots. Your next fight, you could be 170 grand. So maybe it wasn't the worst idea to turn that fight down at this moment. And obviously the way things worked out pretty damn good. You decide to go to Japan. That's another thing you think like, oh, I'm going to Japan, you might get robbed. You might, those guys are super tough. Sasaki's a tough guy. You're going all over there, but you're getting paid. And from what I understand, I have a little inside track. He made really good money on Thursday. So there's that too. So it might have been a calculated decision to not take that Boots fight when it was there. But I think they're thinking more long term with Brian Norman. It's basically how he's moved his whole career. But right now, he's flying high.
So Keith Idec caught up with Norman after the fight for Ring Magazine, and Norman was saying that Hearn offered Norman the Boots fight, but he had to sign it before the Sasaki fight. And Norman declined because he said, why can't we just revisit it like today, afterwards? And I can see why both sides would want that. Hearn wants to lock him into a certain price. Hearn wants to lock him into the fight. Norman says, no, if I have a spectacular performance, my price goes up. Mm-hmm. That's got to be the reason why, because I'm reading through this and I'm thinking why, what's the negotiation tactic for Hearn to offer a fight or offer a contract while a guy is preparing for a fight?
Yeah, because you're exactly like you said, you're locking him into a price point, and then this guy goes out there and does what he did. It's like, all right, well, listen, I'm not the same guy I was before that fight, and that's the thing. They bet on themselves. Makes me think of when Chris Weidman fought Anderson Silva. His contract was up with the UFC, and he said, "No, we'll negotiate after the fight." And that was the first fight. It's like, wow. I mean, that's taking a big risk. You go out there, you fight Anderson Silva, who is on a crazy run, and then he knocks him out. So now he comes to the table with, now I'm a different fighter now. I'm a different character. So I'm a main character now. So I think Brian Norman is showing a lot of main character energy with that, turning down that opportunity and then coming back at this. See, this is why I didn't want to do that contract before the fight, because I'm the man now, and I'm gonna own this division.
That became a big talking point yesterday after the fight, was because the boots thing, the timeline, this whole timeline is very frustrating. It's very boxing. Hopefully they face off at 154. Who knows? Because I don't know if Norman, how long he is for 147. I do think he'll stick around. I do think he can try to clear out the division. I do want to talk about that too. But the Boots thing is very, very interesting, because Boots, he announces on Norman's fight week, day before, I'm officially moving to 154. I did all these tests. I did all these blood tests. I met with a doctor, and they told me that I'm leaving 30% out off the table. And Norman was like, how do you even figure that out? He's like, what doctor did you see? Like, where did you get that from? But anyway, Boots says that I'm leaving stuff. I'm not fighting up to my capabilities. I'm moving up to 154 a day before the Norman fight, which I don't know. Like, that, it kind of doesn't make Boots look great. I know he couldn't stick around. I know he said he could. Hearn said he could have stayed around for one or two more fights. This guy, Boots, has talked nonstop about, I want to become undisputed. I want to fight the champions. Could Boots have waited one more fight to fight Brian Norman?
Well, that also might have been why they wanted to lock that in before the Sasaki fight, because then there's a reason for Boots to maintain the weight and keep his weight down even now. But I can tell you this, though. From a physiological standpoint, from a scientific standpoint, you can do a bunch of testing on someone's body fat percentage, lean tissue, if you're getting a full body scan, bone density. You can do all of that and actually calculate to a pretty, I mean, it's all estimations, but you can calculate to a pretty good degree of how much body fat and lean tissue you have and what you're going to have to lose in order to make that weight. It's actually how I went back down to 140 at the age of 35 years old. I was like, can I still make this weight? And I jumped into a DEXA scan. I got a full body scan of all of my tissues, bone, lean tissue, which is muscle, and body fat, also water, your hydration and water content. And we were able to calculate, yeah, you can still make 140. It's going to be tough, but you can still do it. So there is scientific ways to go about that physiologically to figure out if you could actually make the weight or not. It does take some scanning, but it's nothing out of this world. And it's not a foreign idea. So Norman and his team may not know that. I think a lot of people probably don't know that. So that could have been a thing. And listen, putting an exact percentage to how it's diminishing you, that's a little hyperbolic, but you can definitely tell, if it's gonna affect someone negatively in terms of their performance.
The percentage point was that was a talking point.
Yeah.
That was part of the Boots talking points, Hearn's talking points. Listen, we're leaving 30, 40%. Like, imagine what Boots is like at 100%. I mean, that just was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. He should go up to 154. But it was just like the timing of it was a little questionable. And I know Boots, the jury's still out on Boots' I think he's outstanding. I think he has to obviously prove it inside the ring. But he has made some questionable decisions in his career, or his team has. His whole come up was very frustrating. Sorry, this guy's obviously a phenom, but he's not in there with anyone that we want to see. He eventually gets the Stanionis fight, but that's not before the Virgil Ortiz fiasco. That was really bad. I mean, they had a deal in place at the last second. He says it has to be at 147 when everyone knew that Virgil was no longer fighting there. He could make 147. He had to be 154. The Teofimo stuff wasn't as close as the Virgil fight. With Teofimo, it's like that fight could have been made, but for everything I have heard, it was on Boots' side that just did not want that fight at this very moment because he wants to go to 147 or 154. Maybe he doesn't want to lose to a smaller guy, especially if he's not at 100% there. So there's a lot of things with Boots. So I understand some of the pointing of the finger over at Boots Ennis. It's like, damn, bro, you announced that you're leaving the division a day before probably the second best welterweight knocks a guy out in Japan, and we could have had a huge American showdown. So do you kind of understand? You see that as well? All right, Boots, I know you're great, but you're not beyond criticism.
As calculated as the maneuvering of Brian Norman's career has been, Boots' maneuvering has been equally as bad in terms of PR, in terms of what people are saying about him. Exactly everything you just said. So, but we give him a pass because he's just so goddamn good, and we see that. So, but yeah, no. Listen, the court of public opinion, this is going to look poorly on Boots. But just like anything else, just like Norman yesterday, you go out and you put on a great performance in your next fight, everybody forgets. It's all about what have you done for me lately. Right now, what has Boots been doing lately? It seems like he's been dodging fights. But once he gets back in the ring at 154, and he goes out there and is some percentage point better than we've seen him, and he puts on a fantastic performance, we forget all this shit.
Yeah, and we talked about how good 154 is.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he does match up really well up there, though.
Who is he going to go after first? They're going to They got to have to ease him in. I know a lot of people talk about how they threw out Madrimov, they threw out Boachuk. Madrimov has become the 154-pound measuring stick. Yeah, it's all right. Can you beat him? Can you knock him out? What
ridiculously good gatekeeper.
Exactly. So maybe a Madrimov style. I don't know if they would throw Boots right in there that quickly with a guy like a top 10 or top even fringe 5 154-pounder.
I don't know either, but I was literally thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, I don't know if they would do that. But at the same time, when they were trying to unify, they went to the toughest guy, which at the time was Stanionis, and they went right to that guy. You thought he could have, gone for Barrios, who's a little bit lower hanging fruit. At the time, Brian Norman, I mean, he tried to, but then he went Stanionis. That's the tougher of the fights that were available. So was he going to go right into that? How much better is he going to be without really killing himself to make 147? That's going to be the real case. But you got Xander Zayas fighting for our world title soon. He's going to be another a guy. I'm going to lean that he's going to win that fight and become a world champion. So that becomes someone that could be on the ledger. Could he go right into a world title fight? Very possible. Which belts does he have? He doesn't have the WBO at welter, right? He's got IBF and WBA, I believe.
Yeah.
I bet you WBO would give an exemption that he could go right into a title fight. So that's a possibility. But yeah, I kind of like that Madrimov idea because it also sets up for the Virgil Ortiz fight in the future, in the coming future. Bertazaliev, is probably the most.
He might be fighting Josh Kelly. Random.
Very random. Josh Kelly's keep hanging on, staying alive.
And that could land on the Canelo Crawford undercard.
Well, he's been fighting at 54 lately, Kelly, because he had a lot of trouble making 47, even when he was fighting at 47. He has had a couple fights at 54. I actually saw him recently. He actually looked pretty good. But I think Murtaza Aliyev is the dark horse of the division, but he's also a champion. So I want to say he's the toughest guy, but it's probably Virgil. But Virgil doesn't have a title. Murtaza Aliyev does. I don't know. I like. There's a lot of good matchups. You mentioned Bohocek, Madrimov, Virgil Ortiz, Xander Zayas, and Murtaza Aliyev. All fun, cool fights that I can see being good matchups for Boots.
And also, I've been seeing some rumblings of Brian Norman, Boots potentially fighting Taez at 154. That could be his first fight. Here's the thing: like, we're living in a day and age where you're going to get thrown into the deep end right away. Like, there's like Boots is a name. Like, there's not many names in this sport, and Boots is definitely one of them. And if he's with Matchroom, which I think he is, because Hearn is still speaking on his behalf, and as long as Hearn is still working with Turkey, like Turkey wants to make these fights. He wants Boots with Virgil like tomorrow. So like Boots,
he wants it yesterday. He wants it yesterday. Right? He was already making this fight.
All right, and then you have Boots' team that's just like, whoa, wait a second. Everything has to be perfect. Every negotiation has to be perfect. Every fight has to be perfect. Like, come on, he's like 28. So like, I could see maybe one fight. I think fans would be okay with. Dip your toe in, get used to the weight, get acclimated. One fight, then you got to hit the ground running, man. Like, you have to make up for lost time. Like, there's no more excuses now. Zero. Like, you're with a big promoter in Matchroom. You are now at a weight class that you aren't killing yourself. And you're 28, 29, like, let's go. Like, you can't be sitting around anymore turning down fights left and right.
Yeah, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that it was the weight that was the issue. There was a lot of questioning about where he was going to go, who he was going to fight, I think because of that. But listen, like you said, even me, that benefit of the doubt will go away if this continues at 54. If we're not seeing a big difference in the way that they start moving because of the weight, then I don't know. It's going to become unforgivable really quick.
Yeah, one fight this year at 154, kind of like a tune-up per se, and then get right into the mix. And because they're gonna be throwing huge fights in him. Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute shame. Like, we got robbed of Norman versus Boots, huge American welterweight fight, but there's still some good fights.
It wasn't really that big of a fight until yesterday. Like, I don't know, I didn't see that fight being all that big of a deal until I saw how good Norman looked yesterday. Am I wrong?
What's no, I agree. Like, this is what he needed. This is what I said it in the last episode. I said, show me something. Not that he has to prove anything to me, but like, show me something, show us something. Go out there, make a headline, make some waves. I mean, he did. Absolutely.
Yes,
he did his job and then some. Like, if you're gonna fight all the way overseas, like you said, Chris, 7 a.m. This isn't Inoue 7 a.m. Right. There are people watching. But it wasn't like we have to. Our boxing world has come to a stop because we have to watch Brian Norman fight at 7 a.m. It wasn't that. But those that were watching were like, oh wow. And then those who woke up and opened up Twitter and Instagram and saw Top Rank post those highlights. That's how you get attention, and that's how you make a big fight. That's why. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. We as boxing fans are robbed of a great welterweight fight between two American champions, Norman and Boots. It's a shame.
And East Coast guys too. And they're East Coast guys. I love the fact that we got a Philly guy and an Atlanta guy. I was speaking with Robert Garcia yesterday, and it kind of came up like, who does Norman remind you of, from the greats of yesteryear? And Robert was like, honestly, he's a mix of so many different things. And then I brought up the fact of where he's from. I'm like, well, he's Atlanta, Georgia. So it's like you've got the East Coast style, but you're also close down south to Florida, where you got the Latin fighters. You got the Latin flavor, but you got the East Coast, slickness. But also you got like that Midwest in there as well. And he's a very well-rounded guy. And I wouldn't say he has a particular style to kind of, you could just say, oh, he's a puncher, he's a left hook artist. Because I don't think he is. I think he's really well-rounded, does everything well. He can jab, he can fight at distance, he can walk you down. He can fight off the back foot. I mean, he does a lot of things really well, and he's a very hybrid style. And I think a lot of that comes to the fact that he is from Atlanta. And and you're right. I mean, in terms of those two guys, Philly versus Atlanta, East Coast Americans. Yeah. I mean, what could have been, right?
It could have been because Boots wanted it.
Yeah.
Or at least was saying that he wanted to unify. And he went with Stanionis. Norman went the other way. It's just like the business side of the sport. It's so frustrating. But I get it. I mean, this isn't like, look at Sasaki. He got laid out cold, taken off on a stretcher. He's fine now, but this isn't a game. So you got to get all the money you could possibly get. I know it's easy for me. I mean, you're a fighter, but for me, like when I'm talking money, I really don't like to talk a lot of negotiations or what fighters should take, this, that, and the other, because it's just, it's not. It's a different type of sport, and occasionally people will check me and be like, "You should not tell a fighter what fight and what fight." I'm an analyst. Like, I'm just giving my opinion. If I didn't give that, then what am I doing here? Like, I have no purpose, and it's part of the job. But I understand Norman's side. I understand because they bet on themselves, and they said if we put together a few more fights, we can make this fight with Boots bigger. And this is something we talked about a few episodes ago when we were talking about this. Is they made a very calculated risk that Boots would stick around the division.
Yep.
And what happened is Boots left the division. You can come up with all your reasons why he left. The weight, or maybe he just didn't want to fight Norman. It's not the biggest fight, and he could potentially lose. Like, I don't know. All those reasons are out there. We don't get it as fans. We are left out in the cold when it comes to Brian Norman and Boots unification bout. I still think there's some really big fights for Boots. Excuse me. I still think there's some really big fights for Norman. He may not be fighting Boots, but you have Devin Haney out there. You have Teofimo Lopez, who's chomping at the bit for a big fight. Is that a big enough fight for Teofimo to fight Brian Norman? Rolly Romero is out there. Ryan Garcia is out there. Who would you want to see Boots fight?
I don't think any of those guys you mentioned are going to fight him. Let me just put that flat out there. I don't see Haney going for a Brian Norman fight. I don't see T.O. doing it. I don't see those two guys. Ryan, you're going to come back and fight that guy? I don't think so. No. I think he should unify. He should do what. So I was really upset about Ennis moving up because I saw a clear path for someone who's super talented to be able to unify the welterweight division, which I think is important. But after yesterday, that guy now is Brian Norman. I think he has the real shot and the talent to be able to unify this division. And like I said, earlier, we went over that top 10. I don't see any of those guys really giving him all that much trouble. I thought Stanionis could, but then after what I saw Norman, how he dispatched a guy who comes forward and bangs with you, I don't think Stanionis would be that competitive either. So you got Stanionis. I still like the fight. I think it would be a good litmus test to compare with Boots. Mario Barrios, of course. We've got Manny Pacquiao coming back into the mix. There's a big money fight there. I think Manny will fight absolutely anybody. If Manny wins the fight with Mario Barrios, I don't think it'd be crazy that he would fight Brian Norman after that.
I think if Pacquiao wins, I think he's going to really push for Gervonta Davis. He's already talked about it in a bunch of interviews. They're like the same size. I get what you're saying.
No, they're not. No, they're not. People think Manny is like super, super small. He is not. He is. Gervonta
is he 5'7"?
Yeah, but I'm telling you, dude, I've been around both
Davis
those guys.
Is like 5'7".
It's
They're
not just
around
about
the same height.
Yeah, but the body wise, not the same. Not the
okay.
Same.
Well, if Pacquiao beats Barrios,
yeah,
he becomes world champion. And Gervonta says, I'll do that fight because
100%.
I almost wanted to fight Jake Paul, for God's sake. I'll do whatever creates the most amount of money. And then Gervonta could win a legitimate welterweight title, albeit off of a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. That whole thing, the Barrios-Pacquiao thing.
We're going way off kilter thinking about what could be.
It's not that crazy at all.
No, it's not. That's because scary.
I put out in my notes, all right, let's look at 147 title picture. Boots leaves, and two belts are now vacant. The other belt is Brian Norman's, and the others is Barrios. And Barrios has been holding that belt hostage. He's fighting Manny Pacquiao. Like, what do we even make of that fight? Like, I haven't even thought about like how it's going to look and giving Pacquiao a shot. If Barrios beats Pacquiao, is he finally going to decide, yeah, now I will unify with Norman? Or is he, who knows what Barrios is going to do with that belt? Who knows what Pacquiao is going to do with that belt if they win? And then the two others are vacant. So this division is just we have a really good guy at the top with Norman, but the rest of it, like he doesn't exactly have a dance partner here.
No. Again, I like the Sandy Ennis fight. Barrios is going to be is locked up for a little bit. And I was gonna say Conor Benn if he can get back down to 47, but it looks like they're going forward with that rematch with Eubank. And then I don't know if we ever see Conor at 47 ever again. Because that fight would make a lot of sense too. I'm trying to think who else. It's weird because I believe on the Ring Magazine they have Santiago at number 4.
Well, I'm looking at the WBO rankings. So if Norman, he's not going to like the TOs. Those are like the big names. Those are the big fights.
Those are like super fights. Yeah,
that's why I mentioned Ryan Garcia. No, he has no real right being on that. Like Rolly, as crazy as it sounds,
is Rolly going to get elevated now to be main champ?
I don't know. That's interesting. He's the WBA secondary title holder.
Whatever the hell that means.
You know what's hilarious? Out of Haney, Ryan, Rolly, and Teo, Rolly's the only guy with a win at 147.
And he's a world champion. And he has a title or some kind of title.
Rolly's world, baby. He could potentially fight Norman.
I think Rolly's the kind of guy I think he would fight anybody too. I wouldn't see Rolly's not ducking nobody. He'll take that fight.
No. He's
honestly, the build up to that would be really nice because Rolly is hilarious and he sells fights really well. Norman's a pretty quiet guy. He's not really going to sell the fight the way that Rolly is, although his dad can get pretty loud. I think that's the next fight. I like it.
So the WBO rankings, if Norman wants to go that route, Alexis Rocha number 1, Jin Sasaki obviously not number 2 anymore.
Still around, huh?
David Papeau, Frenchman, Karen, Brian Karen,
Chukatsian.
Again, how about that?
I like any fight where if Brian Norman is really chasing Boots, I like any fight that you can get a comparison from.
Yeah, but so is he chasing Boots now? Was he chasing the unification, or was he chasing the guy?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not exactly clamoring for that fight at 154, Norman and Boots. I liked it at 147 because it was just like a showdown.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe Boots. Maybe Norman is feeling himself now and really actually does really want that guy. He wants, maybe he feels that Boots did duck him, and that gives him some kind of competitive edge or thought in his head, like, you know what, this guy doesn't want to fight. I want to fight that guy. I want to prove everyone why that he didn't take this fight. I don't know, but it depends. It depends where Norman's head's at. And again, they've been very calculated in the way they've maneuvered their career. And that's another thing I wanted to say that day when you were talking earlier about both of these guys. They've both done it the same way that I talked about earlier. That slow burn, build the record, knock these guys out, get a nice sterling undefeated record before you get the title fight. These guys both have 25 plus fights. They have big, extensive pro careers now, but they were built on small shows and undercards and whatnot, kind of under wraps. And now they're out there. So there's a lot of investment from the people around them, and they don't want to make the wrong move here.
Okay, yeah, definitely. It's chess. They're playing chess. Boots and Norman are playing chess. That's why I had a hard time.
Well, their teams are playing chess, yes.
Yeah, I had a hard time pointing blame at either of them. I point blame at the whole situation. Hard to choose sides
Point blame at boxing, buddy. Point it at boxing because Boots, a loss is such a detrimental thing to a guy's career.
Yeah. Teofimo should fight Norman. Teofimo is calling out everyone under the sun. He has the WBO champion at 140. They have that clause where he could move up to the next weight class and immediately vie for the title. Norman has the WBO title. Teofimo, man, you've been saying this, that, and the other. I want to fight this guy. I want to fight that. How about Brian Norman? Is that big enough for you? I don't think so.
I don't think so. He's looking for profile fights. If you've noticed the way that Teo's been moving in the past couple of years, the guys he calls out are the tip top highest guys in the sport. He called out Terrence Crawford. He called out Jerome Boots Ennis. I don't think he's just title chasing. I think he's profile chasing. I think he's money chasing. So I don't know. I don't know if he takes that fight, but who knows? Because you know how him and his father work. If they see something in your style, they're going for it. It doesn't matter who you are. That's what we saw with Boots Ennis. They see something.
I'm confused with Teofimo. What are you chasing?
He's confusing. I don't know.
What are you chasing?
It depends what day of the week it is, Dan. Right. It depends what day of the week it is. I don't know what's going on upstairs with that kid. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know what he's chasing because sometimes it's titles, lineal status, weight classes, and then others. It's like I want to fight Crawford. I want to fight Boots.
I think ultimately it's money. I think that ultimately at this point, the kid's already been undisputed. He has such a sterling career before the age of 25, and now here he's at, and I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. Of all of those talented guys that we've seen there, with the amount of talent he has, he'd made the least money. When you're talking about Devin Haney, when you're talking about Gervonta Davis, when you're talking about Ryan Garcia, he in terms of his talent to money ratio, he's upside down. So I think he's chasing money.
Another guy is Devin Haney. Devin Haney has said, "I'm fighting at 147 from here on out." If he wants to be at 147, Devin Haney, and that's where he sees himself, he's eventually going to have to see Brian Norman.
Yes, and I like that fight too. I like that fight, and I don't know how much confidence does Haney's team have in his boxing ability? Can he box Brian Norman for 12 rounds? It's not inconceivable, but are they going to make that fight happen? I don't know. I think it'll be good for both those guys.
That'd be a great fight. I mean, Haney.
I like it.
I got to see more from Haney. I mean, if you put the Haney we saw against Ramirez in with Norman, that's not going to end well. I don't think. Get Haney some more footing. What do you think?
I don't think we're going to see that Devin Haney again. We never saw him before that. I don't think we're going to see him after that. I think that was just a circumstantial thing because of coming off the long layoff. And I've said this before about his style. He's a rhythm fighter. He's a boxer. He's not a puncher. Those guys need more activity to find themselves. So I think that was more of an activity fight. Get 12 rounds in. Don't take too many risks. Don't get hit by a guy who can punch. But I think the Devin Haney we're going to see moving forward is going to be very different than that guy. More so like we've seen in the past. I want to see the Devin Haney that fought Lomachenko. I want to see that guy that can crack to the body, stay on the inside, box on the outside, use that jab, and do it for 12 hard rounds. So I don't know. Are we going to get that guy at 47? Is he going to be that guy? I don't know.
A lot of what ifs, but one thing we figured out this week is Brian Norman is definitely the man at 147. Love that. Want to see a new champion emerge. Want to see an American champion emerge. Let's see how Top Rank runs with it, especially with they don't have a TV deal. I just read on Boxing Scene from our friend Lance Pugmire that Turner Sports could be in the mix for Top Rank, Warner Brothers. But here's the thing: they're not going to do it until the fall. So there's going to be like a gap between July 26th, which is the last Top Rank on ESPN card with Zayas in it, and then the fall, where supposedly this new deal could pop into place if they don't find one before that. So there could be a little bit of a lapse. We're seeing a lot of Top Rank fighters fight on other cards. Mm-hmm. We're seeing O'Shaquie Foster is fighting on a PBC card against Stephen Fulton. That's the latest with Top Rank and all that, but they have to be a static Top Rank that they have a guy in Brian Norman, undefeated American. Bob was there in Japan.
Bob was happy.
Me at all.
Bob was happy,
bro. Oh, that guy is an absolute menace. Like all the way to Japan.
Yep.
At that age.
What is he? 90, 95, 96? Still doing it.
Yeah, man.
He was excited afterwards, man. He did a couple of interviews about the fight, and he said that Brian fought a perfect fight. And you got Bob Arum telling you fought a perfect fight. That's a dream come true right there. Really dream scenario for Team Norman. But man,
even if he means it, if he doesn't mean it, he still says
doesn't matter. It's Bob. It's the Bob father. He's a promoter. He's a consummate promoter. And exactly. Bob said it. I'm sure Bob said a lot of things he didn't believe about me, but whatever. I'll take them all.
All right, let's head over to this Deontay Wilder interview. He's fighting on June 27th on ppv.com. Check it out. All right, we're joined by Deontay Wilder. He fights Friday, June 27th, live on ppv.com. He's fighting Herndon. He wants to get back into that ring. He wants to be the bomb squad. He wants to show everyone that he's still got it. I think he still does. He's doing it for all the olds out there. I'm about to turn 38. My guy's 39. Do it for all the olds out there, my guy. And I have a very fun fact for you, Deontay. This is episode 400 of Inside Boxing Live. You were on episode number 1 of this show. September 2017, you were getting ready for the Stavern rematch. So we've been at this a long time. You've been at it a little longer than me. Longevity is really impressive to me. How are you doing? And are you ready for this? Because I'm ready for it.
Oh man, you hyped me up, man.
Let's go.
You didn't put the cherry on top. Ready to go. But yeah, we ready to go, man. I'm so ready. I'm hyped up. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good,
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a long journey for me. I think it's been a long journey for a lot of people. So I'm included as well. You know, we all go through things. Everybody in life. If you on Earth, shit, if you on this Earth, you going through something. No matter if you're a human being or some type of creature, unknown creature we haven't identified yet. You going through something. You go
Yeah,
through
yeah.
things, but going through life, it's like a test. You know what I mean? It's a test to see what type of resilience you have or what type of toughness you have to survive the test of time in life. You know, it's trying to see your weakness and strengths, and you test yourself. And all these things that you go through life, it's just a test. You know, sometimes people will stand the test of time, and sometimes they don't. They can't get it. They fail, and they lose focus, and they lose control, and they lose faith. And when you don't believe in that, and you fall for anything, you just living you just living the way you just living to die.
What gives you motivation now? What gives you motivation at this
My
stage in your career?
children, my children life. You feel me? This air that I breathe, this life, to be able to look in this world and be like, I made it because nothing is promised. We all got something that we want to do tomorrow. We already got shit planned tomorrow, right, motherfucking now.
I got something planned today.
You feel me? In a couple of hours.
That's right, man.
But we don't even know we're gonna make that though. In reality, if you logically think about this stuff, you don't know. Anything can happen.
Do you think being older, wiser, smarter, more philosophical, because you definitely are now, will help you in this stage in your career?
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely, most definitely, and everything you label is like a web, and it all supports the foundation of what you're trying to grow and be what we call complete, as in
Mm-hmm.
whole. You know what I mean? And that's where it goes. I always tell people about the difference between boxing and other sports. This is not a sport.
Right.
Other sports you practice to play. In boxing, you train to kill. Understand me? It's a difference practicing to play something and training to kill. So anything somebody train for, they train to kill.
It's also a business more
It's
than a sport.
you
Man, you've seen it all. I mean, you've had
oh,
deals, big
man.
deals. You've had deals fall through. I'll tell you what. I put on Twitter. I'm interviewing Deontay Wilder today, and there was a massive response on what the fans wanted to ask you. There's still a major curiosity in your career. The number one response that I got is, will Deontay Wilder fight Anthony Joshua?
That's still the number one question.
Yes.
Damn,
Can you answer it?
that's crazy. I mean, I'm in it to win it, bro. I'm in it for the heavyweight division is a small division, so we can all of us can fight shit, 6, 7 times because it's so small. It may have grown throughout the years. I haven't kept up, but it's still the heavyweight division is very small. So, you know, I'm in it to fight whoever, whenever, wherever. I'm a fighter. I have a fighter mentality. I
Yeah.
have a king mentality. So I don't shy away from fights. You understand that? I don't shy away from fight. That's in the ring or outside of the ring. And outside of the ring, my fights is, you know, mentally, you know what I'm saying, making sure my energy is always peaceful. So when I come on, because I attract what you put out, you attract. And I
Yeah.
don't attract nothing but great energy. You know what I mean? So if you find anybody that's spilling illness towards me or dragging my name in the dirt, you know, it's a jealousy bone that feeling that they just want to just ooze up out of them and just release. It's a releaser basically,
You've
and
you've
it's okay to
basically fought
release
everyone.
sometimes.
You fought everyone, but Joshua is the one that has eluded you. Do you want that? Like, is that something you want to end your career with?
I mean, I mean, I wouldn't know about ending my career with, but as long as he in the division, I'm in the division. I'm always willing to fight.
Yeah,
Whoever, no matter what the situation is, I do have a feeling to, I do still have a fucking feeling about certain things, but we're not gonna go into because we all know the truth. You know what I mean? And for me to be able to risk my life, I can't do nothing but tell the truth. Why did I sit around? You know, like I always say, people take my truth for their excuse. It ain't my excuse; it's your excuse.
you talking about like failed negotiations with Joshua in the past.
Whatever has happened, you
Yeah.
understand me? I want to give people the best of me when the best is happening.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But Boxing is a business, and if people understood how this business is operating and work, they'll understand fully about a lot of shit. A lot of
Yeah.
things that a fighter do or does, you know what I mean? They'll understand completely and wouldn't bash them or find it, disheartening or distasteful or whatever feelings that they may feel. They gotta understand this is a brutal. If you want to say a sport, then say it's a brutal sport. Put it like
Oh,
that.
yeah, 100%. Brutal in
You
the
feel
ring,
me?
brutal
Put it
outside of the
like that.
ring. I mean, it's crazy. What do you think about the current state of American heavyweights? I think they've fallen on some tough times. Jared Anderson was supposed to be the next big thing, and he's certainly not. Richard Torres has shown some promise. You know, it's been a long time since Deontay Wilder has carried the torch for American heavyweights. Why do you think we're not seeing American heavyweights anymore?
I don't know. I have no answer to that. I haven't really been paying attention. But no, have I ever though?
Do you think more playing basketball? Do you think more playing football? I know you started off playing
Oh
football, then you
yeah, come
transitioned
on.
to yeah.
Those are sports. We are fighters. We are trained. We training to kill. I keep telling you, you practice to play, you train to kill. This is nothing that your parents is pushing. Not just the normal. I would say the normal typical family is not pushing their children to be fighters. Understand me? I had a grandmother come up and her daughter, her granddaughter was a fighter and she was good and she was beautiful. You know what I mean? And she's like, I what that's my, she just come up. I get some of the weirdest. I wouldn't say weird because I'm weird.
You're not
Because
weird,
I'm,
man.
yeah, I like being weird. That mean I'm unique. That mean I'm
Yeah, you
different
are.
from you.
You
You
definitely
understand?
are.
I'm not the sheep of the herd.
No.
I'm different. When people go left, I go right. I'm gonna go over here and explore. Y'all go have fun. You know
But
what
let
I
me
mean?
ask
But she
you.
came up to me.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
She said, I am so scared when my granddaughter get in. I was like, who's your granddaughter? She's right over there. And I get so nervous when she fight. And I said, honey, why do you want to keep boxing? And you know what she said to me? I said, what she said, Grandma? She said, Grandma, I like to whoop ass. Man, it was so hilarious. And and I understood why grandma, she has a pretty face and that's how she talks.
Yeah.
She's so sweet. Her granddaughter had a pretty face. And that's what they look at, the damaging to the head. The head is not meant to be hit in the first place. That's what makes it so dangerous. And we going 12 round to 10 and boom, boom, boom. But you gotta have it in your heart, bro, to do this business.
Mm.
And people like, why you do it? Because we fucking love it.
There's a lot of money
What you
too.
mean? It's a lot.
But like some of
It's a
these
lot.
guys will, play NFL and
Yeah.
they'll crap out. Three years you get in the
Oh,
NFL
well.
on average. NBA, you're not getting to. It's big money, but it's very hard to get to the top. You joined boxing at like 18, and by like mid
What?
20s, you were a heavyweight champ, making tens of millions of dollars. So there is a path for money. There is a path for fame. I just wish we had more American heavyweights, man. Some advice you can give to them.
Now, I started at 21, so you ain't never too late. They
Oh
told me I
shit.
was too late. I wasn't gonna do it. I wasn't gonna make it. But I tell people, I tell people all the time, man. I'm black and I'm dark in America. That's a double whammy, bro. So they always gonna deny me. They
Yeah.
always, it's gonna be hard for people to believe. But I ain't the one that's trying. I don't care. Nobody know who I am. I'm just fulfilling out my goals and my dreams, and providing my greatness, my service to my greatness. That's all. That's it. And being a wonderful father each
Hmm.
and every year. You know what I mean? You don't have to celebrate Father's Day for me because that's an everyday job for me that I take pride and pleasure in. Hello,
Nice.
but and let's but back to
What do
back to
you
the situation.
have you seen this? Have you seen this Moses Atuma kid? What do you make of him?
I haven't. I haven't. I really don't. I just always been like that. It just always been me. Is like this is a job for me. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And I take it as that. I don't. When I'm on my job, I'm on my job. When I'm away from my job, I'm away from my job. I go MIA. You know what I mean? I'm not the typical guy that I'm not gonna betray like I'm this guy that know everything about boxing and stuff like that, and I know all the old school fighters and all. Nah, I love my job, but when I'm finished, I'm away from my job. But that's
What
just
do
my
you?
style and my fashion.
Yeah.
So I don't, and anybody that knows me know like Deontay go MIA when it. when I'm in training mentally, I gotta get right. I gotta get that's why I gotta bring the beast out when it's time. You know what I mean? And when I'm away, like I'm just the nicest guy. I sit back, man. I enjoy my peace and my energy. And, they have a lot of, few people that know me, that call me, we talk. You know what I mean? We share each other love with each other, and we dismiss each other until the next time we hear from each other or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's just how it is. It's a peaceful life.
Yeah. All right. We'll end with some quick hitters. Favorite knockout of your career?
I'm gonna have to go with the Brazil one.
I was there ringside. There's actually a shot of me. I was ringside. You hit him with the shot, and you could see me stand up, and I was like this.
Yeah,
What the heck was
that was
that
crazy.
about? That was one of your craziest knockouts. What about who hit you the hardest?
The Frenchman, Yupa.
Oh wow,
That motherfucker was strong.
I was not thinking that. Oh wow, that's a good one. What about what opponent did you just not like?
What opponent I did not like?
That you just were like, man, I just don't like this guy. I know it's tough because you're in a
Yeah,
different
it is
mindset now.
because it is tough, because like I said, and you only go outside of the ring and stuff like that because I respect every man that step in that ring. You're risking your life, and let me.
There's got to be one that you were just like, this guy just pisses me off. Was it Fury?
I mean, when you know what Fury is a cheater. He's the biggest cheater in boxing.
You still on that, huh?
Of being who they are. It's just like being a racist. If you was a racist and I knew you was a racist and I choose to still hang around you, I just know what kind of category to put you in. That don't mean I gotta dislike you or whatever. I don't fuck with you at all for sure. But if you come around or whatever, I can't. You know what I mean? We can communicate
There
until
is
the
some.
time. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I don't look at that. I already know what he is. We know they know what they are.
So you still believe that Fury is a cheater?
Of course, come on, bro.
Okay. He's
The
retired
biggest in
now.
the biggest in box. How many times? That 20 times?
Yeah. Would you wish him a happy retirement?
I don't think he's retired.
Yeah, me neither. He's coming back.
Just maybe on ice a little bit. You know what I mean? We do this,
Guys
but
step away.
that's why. Like I know everybody's just different. They do their own things. You know what I mean? Everybody is just different. I don't say things and then the next minute is I want to get a reaction and the next minute. I mean, I'm barely on social media and shit, and I've always been like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I find peace in other things. I don't have to find peace in the same shit that all these billions of people on earth have to find the same interest in the same thing for their life can have some type of joy or happiness in it. Some people can't even stay at home for 2 minutes.
I like being at home. I mean, we'll end with
I
this.
love being at home.
Yeah, me too, bro. I'm a homebody. We'll end with this. One word. I know it's hard for you to give one word, but we're gonna try. One word on these heavyweights. You can describe them. Usyk,
He's a good fighter.
Dubois,
I'm so proud of him.
Joseph Parker,
He's a great man.
Moses Atalma,
One day I'll meet you, but I don't know who you are.
Fabio Wardley,
One day I'll meet you, bro, but I don't know who you are either.
Tyson Fury,
Peace be with you, man.
and Anthony Joshua.
Let's get it on. Baby. Yeah, let's get it on.
We got to see it. That's what everyone wants to see. But first, we'll see Deontay Wilder in the ring on June 27th on ppv.com. He's fighting Herndon. Expect another big knockout and then a call out of Anthony Joshua. And then we can do this all over again. I believe in the Bomb Squad. I believe in the Bomb Squad. Thank you for the time.
Man, blessings. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day.
Thank you, bro.
All right, baby. Bye.
All right. Deontay, the philosopher, Wilder. Chris still wants the Wilder fight. Still thinks Fury cheated. Has a hell of a grandma voice. That was a heck of a 15 minutes with Deontay Wilder.
How much different was he than your first interview for you as the interviewer?
Oh man! First of all, I was scared. I was out of my mind scared. I was thinking 8+ years, 400+ episodes. I've gotten a little bit better on the microphone. He was different.
That's what I mean,
2017, he was very, very like intimidating, very mean. Like, holy, you don't know what this guy's going to say next in terms of like he might just embarrass you, or like he just had that mean streak. I don't know if it was an act or not. Now he's just like, I mean, he's doing like the psychedelics, and he's like a philosopher, and like he just wants to just chill, which makes it's like, all right, does this guy can he still pull that trigger in the right hand? That's what we all want to see, because the last couple of fights he was not throwing that right. You know, so we want to see, like, it's very hard. You remember what Gervonta Davis told me in that interview? It's like I kind of losing that fire a little bit because I'm getting older and I'm just getting wiser. With Wilder, it's like the minute he lost that fire, like I don't know, like it's going to be curious to see if he can get it back on Friday night.
I think we all go through that as fighters. I was actually talking about this yesterday, and in the studio, just hanging out, you know, off mics, whatever. We were just talking about my career and just the idea of, you know, in the beginning, you know, you fight and you want to be champion, and then you don't really even think about the money. I never thought about money until like my first payday. Like, and then after that, like the second half of my career, I was thinking a lot about money. There was a lot of money fights to be made. I made a lot of money in my 30s. But you know, the drive changes, and I think I was driven throughout most of my career until like the very, very end. My last two fights, I don't think I had the same. Definitely didn't have the same commitment or drive. You know, when I was 37, as I did when I was in my 30s or even in my 20s. So it does change. You get older, you get wiser. And somebody at the studio asked me if I would fight again, and I said no. Like, fighting is for young people when you're young and dumb. And they all laughed. I'm like, yeah, you got to be dumb. You can't, you don't want to think about the dangers. You don't want to think about the future, you know, when you're done fighting. You don't think about that stuff when you're young. Fighting is a young man's sport for many reasons, not just because of the physicality, but because of the mental, where you're not going to have to, you know, worry about your future. You have to worry, you know, who's going to take care of you if you're damaged goods, you know, moving forward. You start to think those things when you get older. You don't think that when you're 25. You don't think that when you're at the height of things. You're invincible. You're unbeatable. You're never going to get hurt. Nothing's going to happen. Listen, when you're 35, when you're 33, when you're 34, when you go on some psychedelic journeys, then you start thinking about, you know, what can be, what can happen. You know, there's a lot more danger as you get older. That's why parents are always so like worried about their kids, because when you're older, you worry more.
Yeah, and Wilder has made a lot of money too. A lot of money.
A lot of money.
I don't know what
he
wouldn't tell me.
Potentially could make a lot more.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And he wouldn't tell me like what still motivates him. I don't know if it's money. I don't know if it's like just he still thinks he has something left. But if he wins on Friday, that Joshua fight is there, and they can make that. Still think
I don't hate it. I don't hate it, Dan. I don't hate the Joshua Wilder fight at this point. I didn't for Wilder.
Everyone would watch. It would do huge numbers.
We got the American versus the Brit heavyweight. I mean, former champions. I mean,
obviously should have got it many years ago, but like it's the end of a chapter. We still can say like who won between those two, because they always be connected.
And they're both degraded. It's not like one's, you know, still at the top of their game and the other guys like completely fell off. Like, they're both degraded. They both not
have
what they were.
Crazy weaknesses, and they both have. Well, I think obviously
they're both super talented.
Josh would be the favorite for sure.
Yeah,
because he just had more wins more recently.
Yeah, activity wise.
I don't know. We'll see. I hope everyone enjoys their weekend. There is a big fight over in Newark, New Jersey. Vito Milnecki and a marathon of a card. Jahai Tucker is fighting on this card. Brandon Lee. Wow.
He's back.
Had a lot of hope. I had some high hopes for Brandon Lee. I still do, but fighting in an 8-rounder, man, that kid has a lot of power, has some weaknesses too, but I thought he could have been something at 140.
I think I saw somewhere that he just graduated, so maybe he was in college. That's why we haven't really seen him.
Oh, wow.
So maybe that, which would be awesome. Good for him. I mean, there's not a lot of us graduates who have, you know, fighting careers. So hopefully that is the case. I do believe I saw that.
Fighting collegian, just like you.
I mean, there's a couple of us out there. The Klitschko brothers both have high level degrees. So, but yeah, I hope that's the case. But yeah, he is talented. I think he's still young enough. You know, he's still viable. See what he can do if he comes back.
Get a dub. All right, everyone. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the weather wherever you are. Have a great one. Protect yourself at all times. Keep your hands up at all times. Stay out of those DMs. Good night.